Morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a nice end of the year, you know, whatever it is, however you celebrate part. And, hopefully this next year brings us all a much better situation than last year, although last year wasn't too bad. Um, but anyway, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors, regular session. And we will also have an executive session later on, but this is the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We're also sitting as all special taxing districts, and this is the meeting of January the 3rd, 2018. It begins at 9 a.m. And the first thing is I am going to, use my prerogative and not have the executive session right now, not call for an executive, call for it at the end, so we don't have people that are waiting here for other items, wait too long. So I'm going to go ahead and skip the action to authorize executive session and actually go into regular session. Our first item is a pledge of allegiance. Will everybody please stand up and join us? Supervisor McLeod, would you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Sure. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item is that we have in the agenda, the regular session agenda, is the call to the public. The call to the public is held for the public's benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. If your item is in the agenda somewhere further along, just wait until then. Is there anybody here in the public that would like to address the board on an item that's not in the agenda? No, if not, then we'll continue on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. This is where board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission or the Yuma County Board of Adjustment. No legal action will be taken. Is there anybody here in the board that wants to, redo it, needs to do an appointment? No? That's a good start to the year then. I am going to then go on to the next item, which is the presentation of the Yuma County line, the Yuma County government channel. Kevin?
Welcome to your County Line 2018. Who knows what's in store for the coming year? Your county government had experienced some changes, new additions, and heightened recognition in 2017. So as we look forward to another great year, we're going to take a quick look back at what happened over the last year to get us started. This time last year was a time of change for the sitting Board of Supervisors, as we swore in 3 new electeds to the board. They each received a crash course in county government prior to taking their oath and met with each county department and agency head. They also received counsel on how the county is run on a daily basis, along with learning about open meeting law.
You got to be careful on what you talk about and when you talk about it. And, you can't talk county business with the other supervisors unless you're in an open meeting. And that's going to take some adjustment, because I'm used to being able to talk to people and work things out. And you can't do it that way anymore. It's per se. Like I said, you have to do it all as a group.
All 5 Yuma County Board of Supervisors have had an amazing year serving you, and they look forward to another great year in 2018. Along with your County Board of Supervisors, there are many other elected officials serving you daily in Yuma County. But one elected official certainly is going above and beyond by representing Yuma County on a national level. Our very own Sheriff, Leon Wilmot, was selected to serve on the National Sheriff's Association Board of Directors. In doing so, Sheriff Wilmot sets guidance and direction for the association and can be called upon to provide expert testimony on law enforcement, corrections, and court security issues.
I've learned meeting sheriffs throughout the United States that we have a lot of commonalities in regards to our operations, some of the battles that we face. So we take those commonalities from all the sheriffs and we're able to put together and be that one voice.
Two other elected officials serving outside Yuma County would be our very own County Supervisor Russell McLeod and Recorder Robin Stallworth-Poquette. Supervisor McLeod was appointed as the first Vice Chairman of the Arizona County Supervisors Association, and Poquette was sworn in as the first Vice President of the Arizona Association of Counties. In 2019, they will both hold the title of President, watching out for all Arizonans and those of us in Yuma County. County government offices expanded their footprint with the purchase of a building in Old Town Yuma back in 2013. The purchase came as a result of a dire need for additional space. In 2015, that building underwent a complete overhaul, and in 2016, some county offices began moving into the new Main Street location. In 2017, the Recorder and Assessor's offices moved in and are operating. There's more in store for this new location. Stay tuned as we will bring updates as they become available. While it wasn't an overhaul, it was a very aggressive schedule that our Public Works Department undertook to bring many of our roads some much-needed maintenance.
We're going to be aggressive this first 60 days, and through 4 dedicated grader routes, we'll have 2 in East County, 2 in West County, and we hope to touch all nearly 200 miles at least once, get all our roads into passable condition, and also be able to assess the real condition on all 200 miles.
In July, crews began grading county gravel roads, and after doing so, they worked on reshaping and capping them. This was due to a long period of deterioration, coupled with a lack of funding. The hard work and dedication saw the work done at the end of September, and now they are continuing with a regular maintenance schedule. Speaking of an overhaul, you might remember that it was a year ago that Yuma County launched a completely overhauled website presence. Along with that overhaul was a new way of connecting with you, the public. The online customer service center has been a huge hit. Along with getting attention from the National Association of Counties, the model for the online center has been replicated in other cities and counties in the nation. The communications team has also improved upon the way we connect with you by putting all Yuma County Board of Supervisors meetings and planning and zoning meetings live on Facebook. We've also started replaying the same meetings on Yuma 77 and our video on demand, complete with captions in Spanish. We will continue to improve in 2018 as we will be improving our signal to high definition. Our website wasn't the only online overhaul. Our Geographic Information System pros completely updated the imagery for our online mapping. Working with a company called Pictometry, an airplane outfitted with sophisticated equipment flew circles around the 5,500 square miles of Yuma County, snapping pictures to improve our GIS maps. The results have helped our assessor, development services, public works, and the sheriff's office to provide a higher quality of service to you. And while all your county offices are working hard to bring you the service you expect, 2 of our agencies working together definitely stood out. It was 3 years ago that the Health District and Human Resources teamed up to bolster employee wellness. The first year, they became the first Arizona county to be recognized by the Healthy Arizona Worksite program. This program builds collaboration between employers and worksite wellness. It also recognizes employers for their leadership and commitment to the health of their employees and the state's business community. This year, a new level of recognition was introduced, and again, Yuma County achieved the platinum level. Your county government certainly is fit. We have leadership guiding us, the facilities to grow, and a healthy workforce. All incredible ingredients to make the best of 2018. We look forward to bringing you the news stories about how your county government provides for our community on a daily basis. So we look forward to seeing you again on your County Line.
That takes care of that item in the agenda. The next item in the agenda is the consent calendar. The following items are listed under the consent agenda and will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. We have items 1 through, through 6. Does anybody on the board want to pull out any of the items for consent? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 6.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve consent items 1 through 6 as presented.
I'll second it.
Been a motion and a second to approve consent calendars, items 1 through 6, as presented. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion carries. Okay, that takes care of the consent calendar. We will then go ahead and open discussion and action items. And in this one, the board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. First item in the agenda is the county administrator. It's pursuant to ARS statutes 11256. We will conduct an action at 9 or right around 9:11 in this case, or schedule permits thereafter for an estimated 6,610 square feet of office space located in the first floor of the county-owned building located at 410 South Maiden Lane, Yuma, Arizona 85364, to be used exclusively for the provision of physical and behavioral health care in collaboration with the Yuma County Adult Probation Services, and authorize the county administrator to execute the lease agreement with the highest bidder at or above the minimum monthly base rent amount of $10,906.50. We do have some announcements to make. The first one is that all bids will be based on the monthly base rent, with a starting bid of $10,906.50 per month. A bid for less than the minimum monthly base rent will not be considered. The county may cancel this bid in whole or in part at any time prior to the acceptance of the final bid. Bidders must agree to all terms of the accompanying agreement, and the bid award will go to the highest bidder. All right, well, this opens the auction. Are there any bidders for this particular item?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Stephanie Crawford. I'm with
You've got to step up to the mic here.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, it's fine. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Crawford, and I'm with Community Health Associates, and we would like to open that bid with a minimum bid as well, as you mentioned, sir.
Thank you. Are there any other bidders to consider? No? I'll, wait like, 30 seconds or something, just in case.
Maybe the board could
Yeah,
bid
maybe we can talk a little bit and provide a little time for somebody else to step up. Well, okay, then if there are no other bidders, I'll hereby close the bidding process. And, we'll announce that there be no other bidders. We have received one bid from the Community Health Associates with the starting bid of $10,906.50. We don't have another bid. We recognize the bid from Community Health Associates. Do you understand the terms and the conditions?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. Okay, well then I'll ask for a motion to accept the bid from Community Health Associates, which was the highest bidder in the amount of $10,906.50, and authorize the county administrator to execute the lease agreement. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and second to accept the bid from Community Health Associates. Any other discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We've been looking forward to this. It's just sort of anticlimactic. We get to do it like in 5 minutes, but it's been a long and lengthy process, from when the idea was first brought forth. And, we tend to believe that combination that you guys are setting up over there is going to work very well for, all those people who need that kind of assistance.
Absolutely. We're excited to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, that takes care of that item. We got to give people time to move on. All right, the next item in the agenda is I think it's the CDBG, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a discussion and prioritization of proposed projects for the fiscal year 2017-2018 community development block grant applications to the Arizona Department of Housing. I was gonna say Nancy, but I look up.
Chairman, members of the board, Diana Veloz with County Administration. I'm here today to open the discussion about the community development block grant projects. November 1st, in 2017, we held our first public hearing, and we solicited projects from the community, and I'd like to we solicited projects from the community for the regional account, for the SSP, which Special State Projects, which is a competitive grant, and for the Colonia Set Aside, which is also a competitive grant. And these are the projects that we have come in. Now, these projects have to meet one of the national objectives that the state, that's mandated by HUD, and most of these meet the low to moderate income benefit. The first one, Gadsden Park, these are in no particular order. I just put them up there, and these are going to be for you to rank. There's 8 of them up there. The first one, the Gadsden Park, to replace field lighting, they want to replace six lights out there for their ball field. The Community Service Safe House wants to do rehabilitation to their safe house, to replace flooring and remodel their laundry room. Campesinos Sin Fronteras wants to do rehabilitation for 12 proposed families out in South County. The Healing Journey has a program for abused children for sex trafficking awareness. They want to do one-on-one mentoring in South County and in East County. For TACNA, we want to do the preliminary engineering report out there, plus the environmental report, which is required when we submit an application to USDA for project funding. Housing America Corporation wants to rehabilitate 16 units on Orchid Street for their Orchid Street apartments. They're going to do rehabilitation as well as ADA compliance. Yuma County Housing Department wants to do rehabilitation on 3 homes within the Yuma County area, and the Foothill site development to install a new ADA playground with a shade out there by the Foothills Library. So those last year, fiscal year 2016, we received $410,411, and that's what we're estimating to receive this year. We still don't know. It might be less than it, or it might be a little bit more. But we're flexible. We can work with those numbers. So I ask you today to please rank these in the order you feel that they're to prioritize them. There are 1 through 8. So these is for your review and your discussion.
Yeah. All right. Just to make it clear, this is the year that the county and Welton share the total amount, right? You know,
yes.
so this is basically half of what is sent over to Yuma, the Yuma County.
This is what will be sent. This is an estimate.
Oh, the amount, no, the whole amount somewhere around $820,000, $830,000. And what happens is it gets split up between the city of Summit. I mean, one year it gets split up between the city of Summit and the city of San Luis, and another year it gets split up between the county and Welton. And the idea behind doing this sort of allocations is that it provides enough funds for smaller communities like Welton to be able to do some substantial work with CDBG money, which was always an issue in the past. I mean, it hasn't been for years, but it was an issue way before we decided on this sort of allocation process. And what we do now, what you want us to do now is sort of rank them in a certain order so that we can further sort of investigate if they qualify, right? You know, if they qualify.
And we're allowed to pick 3 projects. We're allowed to send over 3 projects to the state in order for funding.
Now, you did mention that there are separate funds, you know, separate pots of funds that you can submit these applications for.
Yeah,
one of them is a regular CDBG allocation process, which is the one that we normally look at first because we know that that's sort of, quote, guaranteed money. we're going to get that. And the other one is the competitive process, where you send this project over there and it competes with other projects around the state for a different pot of money. And then there's a Colonia allocation. Is there a way that we can sort of rank this list of items and then have them be, qualify for the first three to be sent for the regular allocation, and then the second two for the, state, and then, consecutively try to get as many of them as we can to the state?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's what we were hoping, that the first three you rank will be for the regional account. And then the fourth and the fourth one would be SSP, Special State Projects, for the competitive grant if it qualifies. And then the fifth one, if it qualifies for the Colonia, we would apply for it.
Okay, this is interesting, and I know you want to say something. I'll get you. But the interesting part about the Colonia one is that it has to be in a certain geographical location. So it has to be a Colonia. And where is the Colonia? Where in Yuma County is it? Is a Colonia designation
There is
available?
about 8 colonias and 8 to 10 colonias here in the Yuma County area, and they are they have to be certified, in which they have been.
So is there any?
I don't have the list right now, but I can.
No,
give-
what I'm trying to get to is, obviously, if there is a Colonia possibility, it isn't possible. It is not, maybe not possible for all 8 of them. It may only be possible for 2 or 3. I'm trying to figure out ahead of time which ones would be.
Qualify.
Well, not eliminated, but I mean, make sure that the one we set aside for a Colonia can actually qualify for a Colonia designation, and we don't, you can do that, I suppose, out of the ranking.
Yes, and can I just say that 2 years ago, we did apply for the Colonia grant for the TACNA.
Mhm.
It's a planning process, and it didn't
make
compete
it.
well. We were the last, we ranked the last for the state when we competed with for the TACNA.
So the Tacna is a Colonia, what you're saying, but it's very difficult to get really those kind of fund from a Colonia project where you're competing with water and sewer and other things that are seen as more, necessary for the environment.
Mr. Chairman,
Nancy?
Nancy Nye, Community Planning Coordinator for under administration. Maybe I can clarify that on the Colonia. We have about 11 Colonias. Orange Grove, Donovan Estate, Avenue B and C was one of the Colonias. Tacna, Gadsden, those are Colonias. But under the Colonia funding, we can only submit applications for water, wastewater projects, or housing rehabilitation. So those are the 3 types of projects that you can submit under Colonia. And Colonia is only those certified by the state as a Colonia. Projects within those areas can be submitted. So which essentially is southern Arizona within 150 kilometer, I believe. So in essence, if you're looking at this list, as if you're trying to assert which ones would qualify under the Colonia, you only have the housing rehabilitation, which is Campesino. The Gaston, even though it's a Colonia, is a park project. And the Yuma County Housing and the TACNA, which is a water project. So those are 3 projects that could fit into the Colonia.
The Housing
However,
in America doesn't fit? Orchid Street?
I'm not sure.
It's in the middle of the
I'm
city.
fairly certain City of Summerton did not qualify.
It is, the Orchard Street is not.
Formerly they were considered a Colonia, but the state had a recertification, and I believe they did not go for the
They moved.
recert.
Okay.
Okay. Keep in mind, I do want to address what Diana Rose had provided to you in terms of information. The water project that was previously submitted 2 years ago didn't rank high enough because it's a planning project. So dependent on how many applications get submitted to the state for the Colonia, that's where you have to compete. The competition comes into play. And without the preliminary engineering report and the environmental report,
we're unable to submit an application to USDA. And there's not a whole lot of resources out there for that type of work.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Couple of things. And I think we've been through this before, but I don't recall exactly. The 18% administration, does the board have the ability to reduce that to enable more projects to be done?
Yes, you can eliminate it altogether if you want. The 18%, the only thing is the technical assistance fee to Western Arizona Council of Government, I believe is 38, around 45?
Yeah.
4,500.
4,500. That's the only thing that you could not eliminate.
So we could reduce that down to 8% if the board wished.
Yes,
So,
you
okay.
could. Keep in mind that is to offset staff time in
I understand, I understand what it's for, but when you can get a project done, staff's budget is in our budget anyway, so.
definitely.
And then second to that, you listed a couple of Colonia projects, but there's a third application we can make. Which of those fits that?
The state special project is basically open to everything, but it's very competitive because it's for the entire state.
Okay, so each of these would be available for that one. So the only restriction is the Colonia application
Needs to
that
be
you
in a
just
specific
covered, which would
geographic
be Campesinos, Yuma County Housing, and unlikely TACNA, right?
Right.
Okay, I want to make sure I had all that right.
Now, I have another question. Those numbers that we get, they're the numbers that, I mean, some of them are more specific than others. Let's put it that way, right? But, I get a sense that it's like sort of like a rounding off situation, excluding maybe the Housing America Corporation, who is, very, very specific about the amount. But I do notice that, for example, you do have like, okay, well, $150,000 for rehab program. That, to me, that means that we can actually work with those numbers. It means like, for example, if Yuma County Housing wanted to do 12 homes, we could lower that and actually do 10 or do 8 or something. It's not, some of these are not specific to a cost that's fixed, is I guess what I'm trying to get to, right? It's more we like to get 200,000 to, the field lighting, for example, in Gaston is probably a little different than that because they probably know now how much it's going to cost. But, in terms of when we do housing rehab, for example, it depends on how much money is available, the number of homes you will rehab because they're not exact. It's not an exact science. I mean, every home requires a different amount, basically. Almost, it's almost inevitable that every home will require a different amount because they have different problems. So, and I guess I'm saying this, so if the board members are trying to put together some sort of a list that gets to, $350,000 or something like that, that you look at this situation and say, okay, well, maybe we're not gonna be able to fund all of the housing rehabs from both the Campesinos Sin Frontera and Yuma County Housing, that you say, okay, we will do $75,000 there and $75,000 here, so that we keep both programs, going, as opposed to saying, okay, we'll give $150,000 to one and nothing to the other. I'm just trying to get to that point, where we.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, correct, that's very true. You also have to remember, because it's not exact science, in response to Supervisor McLeod's question about administration, if you eliminate the administration dollar, you have to be leery of that only because you can always move administration dollar into a project and not in reverse. So if you lock into, let's say, Gaston Park, 150 or 200,000 for the lighting, and it end up costing 210,000. That 10,000's got to come from somewhere if we can't modify the bid.
And you can use administrative costs and move it in there to cover that.
If needed.
But you can't, if it's already in projects, you can't move it into administration.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, well, here comes the tough part. We do have to rank them. You didn't rank them yourself, right? These are just listed as they are, right? Yes. They're not ranked. Although I wish they would be, but whatever.
We had that discussion in October.
I got it. I got it. It was the one where we said we'd like to have that kind of ability so we can rank them ourselves. Well, now it's in front of us. Normally, I'll be the one ranking them first, but because I'm the chairman and I'm running the meeting, I'm gonna try to see if any of the other board members come up with some sort of a ranking that we can start working with.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, my God,
I've been
I was
working on
hoping
it.
for another board member to do that, but, you know. Okay, let's just see what your, your ideas are. Again, we're not gonna, you can change the numbers, you can change the sequence, you can actually set aside, again, as was previously discussed, you can actually set aside one or two to go for, specific fund. Those kind of things can happen, so that we try to, as much as possible, to get as many of them, on board as possible.
Right.
First, there's 3 of them that are going to be somewhat assured, and, if they qualify, that they're gonna get funding if they're in the regional one. So make sure that when we list them in a way that if one of them drops off, another one can take its place, okay?
Yeah, and if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a little bit of my reasoning. The ones I will toss out are the Foothills ADA playground, and that's because they've been asking for that for longer than you and I have been on the board. The Housing America, because Yuma County Housing was going to rehabilitate 3 houses, but this is going to help 16 units. And affordable housing is an issue here, and so I think that would be important to keep that up. And then the work that Healing Journey does, I think, is so very important. Gadsden Park is eligible for Colonia. Catholic Community Services
No,
Safe
it's
House.
not.
No, Colonia
No.
is only for water and
Colonia can
sewer
only be
projects.
used for water or sewer.
Oh, it
So
can't.
Gadsden
Okay.
Park doesn't
Well,
qualify.
we've tried that before.
We tried.
Safe House, I would definitely have gone for that, but we can only do 3 projects. And so that amount is so small, it's fairly limiting because of the amount. And to get to that, we're going to have to put just so the board knows, probably around 5 to 6% administrative costs to get to the number that we need. The number I came up with is 381,775. And if you didn't want to do that much, we could always scale back a little bit on Housing America. They'd have to
leave 1 or 2 of
leave
them.
1 or 2 of the projects off, but that they could decide that. But we can get there. We get 41,000 at 8%, which would put us at 377. And so we need another 4,000, which is only, we have 1%. So about 7%, 6 to 7% overhead would get us there on those 3 that I recommended. Foothills.
See, the problem is that
Housing
when you
America.
do that, I already forgot the first 3. I mean, on the amounts. I mean, I wish we had like a chart that we could put money on, the amounts on, so that we would remember.
I can do that for you.
Yeah, well, yes, that would be good.
Can you open up an Excel spreadsheet?
Probably not. This is a presentation. I don't know. I don't think it's an Excel, is it? Is there any way that we can start working with this? You want to open and see if we can? Because that would be, to me, unless you sit yourself and start, putting down amounts and then figure them out. I mean, you would end up, unfortunately,
That's what I did.
Supervisor McLeod did that. But once you said everything you've said, if we don't see it.
Oh, I understand.
So right now, I've already
just
forgot
wanted to
which
tell
ones
you.
were the 3 top ones, according to you, were again?
The Foothills ADA
Foothills
Park,
ADA Park,
Housing America.
Housing America,
Because of the amount of units they can rehabilitate,
Mhm.
and then the Healing Journey.
Healing Journey.
But
I like
Safe
to.
House needs a lot too, so.
Yeah, we could go to Safe House instead. and
Go
we
ahead,
wouldn't
go
have
ahead,
to take
sorry,
so much out of
sorry.
overhead.
There's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of this, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't lock
only do
too
3
much
projects.
into the actual dollar down to the exact science, only because we're not even sure the 410 is going to be truly
410,
where we're
yes.
going to be.
That's right.
And what
Forgot
we will do is, once we find the projects eligible, we will work with
The applicants.
applicants
You
to
don't want us to
try
tie you
and,
down too much.
try and scale down.
Yeah, all you
what
want
we
is a
need to-
ranking.
Or, yeah,
Or
All
scale
you
up.
want is a
Okay.
ranking.
depending, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I had a question too on the TACNA, the water company. We just passed the improvement district for that. Do we need this study
Oh, look.
to move forward with?
ma-
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, but you see,
But they
I
don't
mean,
usually
yes,
approve
but they don't
those, right?
usually get that funded through their studies are really difficult to get CDBG to fund. While, we may be able to direct it to the water infrastructure, I don't remember what the name of it is, but we may be able to get the funds from
Somewhere else.
USDA,
Well, actually, Supervisor, that's your area. You can pick between Foothills and Tacna.
Well, I would rather kind of go with Tacna just for the simple fact, you're talking the entire town there.
And you're talking
and
water
water.
too.
Okay.
Which they're
Okay.
having water issues. I
Yeah,
would love
they
to do the
are big
ADA,
time.
but I
All
think we
right,
need.
so,
I'm good with that.
all right, if fine with me too. I mean, I think that's an important one. I mean, and remember, now, this has changed a little bit, which means to me that we're not gonna fixate so much on the amounts anymore. We're gonna fixate on the ranking.
Rankings.
Okay, so we have, you started off with the foothills. We're gonna do foothills, not foothills,
Tacna is
Tacna
number
preliminary
Tacna
engineering.
number one.
Yeah,
one.
and then
Tacna's
we'll
number
go on
one.
to Housing America Corporation number 2,
Housing America.
the Healing Journey number 3, and then now we start getting into fourth and fifth, and now we need to remember that if one of them gets kicked out for some reason, then the other one, the fourth one will step up. So I would say that we either go for the
Safe House.
Well, if you want Safe House, where's Safe House?
Safe House
The
improvement.
37.
Oh, yeah.
37, yes.
For
The
number
37
4.
will be number 4. To me, Campesinos, well, let's go to the Yuma County Housing Department as number 5. And then Campesinos in Fronteras, and Gaston Park, and the Foothills site development. Because at some point in time, we got to put them in some sort of ranking. Did anybody get that?
They're working
Gadsden's
on it.
5
Oh,
and
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think you
Playground
had
is
Yuma
6.
County at 5.
Yeah, I think I had either Yuma County at 5 or something.
And that was 6.
Safe House
Yeah,
was 4.
good. I'm sorry that I did it too fast.
No, sorry, no, Yuma County was 5.
It's getting
There.
closer. All we know is
5.
the ADA playground was number 8, and I guess the Gaston Park was number 7, wasn't it?
You had 6.
6?
Yeah.
All right, well, at some
Oh,
point in
I
time.
think that's right. I think that's what you
Yeah,
said.
that's right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we had the park and the playground as last
The 2
two.
parks are
Yeah.
the last, yeah.
Okay, so that's what you wanted, just the ranking, right?
They're going to
Yeah.
sort.
You're gonna sort out the amounts.
Nice.
A little bit. Yes.
Well done. Who's running that thing?
Doing good back
job.
there.
Does that get you where you want today?
Yes.
Okay, and then you guys can work out a little bit the numbers and who gets to go,
There we go.
as the Colonia one, who gets to go. You may actually end up picking number 7 to go for the Colonia funds or something, whatever. Okay?
Mhm.
All right then.
Yes.
No, if you keep messing with it, I tell you what, if you keep messing with the numbers,
I'm just talking about the 2 parks. Are they in the right order, 7 and 8?
yeah, they're in the right order. Because it doesn't matter. I mean,
We've been
at
trying
the
to do
end.
Gadsden
Yeah, I
Park
know,
for
we're
10
trying to
years.
do, we've been trying to do Gaston Park for a while, but I don't want Louis Gardiaz after my case because I left it in the 8th place, okay? So leave it in the 7th place.
I'm good with that.
All right, is that okay with everybody? I mean, it's not perfect, but I think it allows you to move on.
Yeah,
never
I'd
gonna
like to
work.
do the foothills, but
Yeah.
I think we need to worry
Yeah.
about the water.
Yeah,
Well, we
but
may
That's
be
for
able to,
community.
we may be able to
Taxes
come back,
first,
2
and
years
then
from now and say to
housing,
like Housing
shelter.
America, you got one last 2 years or something.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
you work
get
on
to the playgrounds.
shelter and water first, and then
Good.
the.
Eso es lo que
others.
debemos estar mirando.
I know.
I
know.
and you just mentioned, Mr. Chair, I just want to send us a report of the last
The
couple
people
of
who got, yeah.
few times that have received it, because I think we need to really spread it out.
Yeah, we do.
And we can't be going back to the same organizations every 2 years.
We normally don't.
We
They
normally
sent that
don't,
to us.
but.
Normally don't. But it'd be better if you just give us
I
some,
haven't seen
some
those.
background,
You haven't?
some historical.
So, but at least some can that, we need to start looking at the ones, spread it out, so.
Oh, okay.
Because,
In other words, to us, it would be important to know next time who was
Oh,
funded 2 years
who- yeah.
before,
You know
so that
what,
we don't.
we got it on the tribes, you'd ask for it
Yeah,
on the tribes, we got
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, because
Okay, you're asking for the same
for
thing
the
for
same thing for
CDBG.
CDBG, because I think we really need to spread it out throughout the
The
county.
CBG,
Well,
yeah.
just to comment on that, though, when you're looking at things like Yuma County Housing and Housing America, they do spread it out. It
No,
might be the same
no, I mean,
organization,
this-
but where they
Yeah,
apply.
no, where they
Different
apply it, it's,
location.
I know they do it throughout the county, but I just, the organizations, I
Just wanted
want
to
to
make that-
make sure that, yeah.
Unfortunately, if it was up to me, it would all go to South County. But, I just don't have that kind of power. But, okay, I think we better leave it, because if we keep going at it, but you get the message, right? This is the ranking, it's not, the fixed amount, you guys gotta work a little bit more on that. And, for the future, this process is fine, it's okay, it gets to us and we make that final decision, but, next time, if you remember next time, please bring two things. One is a sheet that we can work with, that would be more, so that we can make notes on it and write on it. And second, a historical background on who's gotten it before and that kind of stuff. It will help us spread it out. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
There's
if
a
I may add
motion?
to that?
Huh?
If I may add to that, and I have a question. So when you come back to us, you'll work on the percent of overhead, right? Based upon the projects that were
Yeah,
prioritized?
look, keep it around 10.
Yes, so
I think it'll be a little
in
above.
April, I'll start working on the applications now,
Yeah.
but in April, we'll come back for a second public hearing.
Okay, and that's where the,
And that will be more defined.
That's where the
Yeah, it'll come back
final-
to us again,
okay.
all right? And just like I said, keep it around 10%. I think it's doable.
Yeah, I think it is.
8
yeah.
and 10,
No, I think it'll be.
10% is fine. 18 seems a
Because when
little
we chose the
small.
other project, we dropped off 25.
My problem is that we're not the only ones taking a cut, administrative cut. The state takes a cut, by the time it gets to us, and probably WACOG takes a cut. And then us, we take a cut, and at the end of the day, it's just too many cuts, too many administrative costs. If we really added it all together, we'll end up with the 25, 30% taken off the top, and that's
And the
just
thing,
way too much.
if I may, Mr. Chair, the thing I wanted to add also, you heard the comments from Supervisor Porches, and I'm aware that.
Disregard
we're going to have several of these, like Yuma County Housing, Housing America. So if you could include where those projects went.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
sort
the
of
board
like-
could have a big picture of where the money actually got distributed to, not just the organization. Okay? Great.
Right, thank you very, wait a minute, did I ask for a motion?
Do we need a motion?
I think we do. Yeah, we need a motion to rank them as we,
Need a motion? Let's see. Okay, I move that we do the CDBG ranking according to the grants decision Excel spreadsheet we just saw. That work?
yeah, through the ranking we just gave you. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Been motion and second to go ahead and rank those CDBG projects as listed before. Any more discussion on this? No more discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Go forth. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on now to the easy one.
Well, this could get
Mr.
exciting.
Chair, just make a note, as you make your announcement of item number 2, or number
Three.
3 and 4, there's a scrivener's error. It should be for calendar year 2018, not 2017.
All right,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
All right, does anybody
catch.
want any
I missed
changes?
that.
Because I need to appoint people, but does anybody want to be moved or changed? I mean, the only one I could think of was the Legislative Policy Committee. Do you still want to serve on that, Supervisor?
I'm supposed to because I'm on the executive committee.
Executive board.
That's their policy.
Okay, all right.
And
Okay,
then
so,
also remember that Supervisor Pancrazi moves to the
Heritage,
National-
Yuma
Heritage-
Crossing National Heritage Area.
all
Yeah,
right,
they
so,
have you down there.
okay. So the appointments are going to remain the same with the exception of the Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area Corporation, where Supervisor Pancrazi will serve as a representative. And I make those appointments, so I hereby make those appointments. Is that clear? It's clear as water. All right, so we're moving on to number 4, because there's no motion required on this. This is Board of Supervisors appointing members. Now, I'm the appointed member of the Tri-County Economic Development District Board. I just don't know whether it still exists, but, it's okay. I don't mind serving in that board if that board exists, so,
It's been a while since you've been to a meeting.
What else is there? the Yuma,
YMPO?
yeah, the YMPO, do we still, those members that are serving there, would they like to continue serving there? All right, so who is it?
It's Martine and I.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to continue with the appointment of both Supervisor Porches and Supervisor Pancrasi to the YMPO. Is there a
So moved.
motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve those appointments. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
I have a question. The Tri-County Economic Development District Board, could that, would that also be, could you add forefront?
Yeah, on forefront,
Mr. Melcher is our,
yeah, but I
Oh,
mean,
yes?
but no,
Okay.
we need to appoint someone, you do, but I don't think that it's part of our, like a board of supervisors appointment, it's more like the chairman does it, kind of
That's
thing.
fine. Okay, I
And,
just-
you know, and.
I just know that that's a new organization or a new.
Yeah, and I forgot to ask for a motion to go ahead and continue with my appointment to the Tri-County Economic Development District Board. Is there a motion?
does it meet?
I don't know, man. You appoint me to it just in case.
So moved.
Is there a second? There's been motion and second to appoint Supervisor.
But I want that
Reyes.
one. That's an easy one.
This is the one that pays us.
Take a break, you guys.
Supervisor Reyes to the Tri-County Economic Development Board. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. But anyway, it carries on, just kidding. It's a unanimous appointment. Then we move out of the appointment section to the planning and zoning agenda, in which we will give full description of property sites for all rezoning cases are available for public review at the Yuma County Board of Supervisors office. We begin with the rezoning consent calendar, in which the following items will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion. However, action is statutorily limited to approve the item as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission or setting the item for public hearing. This is very legalese. It keeps getting worse. It keeps narrowing what we can do. Every time they put something like this, like, however, action is statutorily limited to approving the item. That means to me that whatever's presented to us can't be changed unless we send it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for them to
Right. For a public hearing.
Yeah, for a public hearing, which is offensive to me, but we'll continue. Does anyone wish to have the consent item pulled for this? Does anyone wish to have any consent items pulled for discussion? There's only one, but, okay, is there a motion to approve the consent items for rezoning?
Mr. Chairman, if nobody has any.
Let me read it, because I think I need to read it. Development Services, the only consent item on this is rezoning case number 17-13 is Mike and Maria R. Padilla, who request the rezoning of a parcel totaling 5 acres, gross acres in size from rural area 5 acre to suburban range 2 acres, and there's a assessor's parcel number, and it's located at 1584 West County, 17.5 Street, Yuma, Arizona. Now, I'll entertain a motion now.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
For a second.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent item as presented. Any discussion on the item? No discussion? If there was discussion, I guess we would have pulled it back out. So all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
I'm just trying to make the attorney smile, but I can't. Ed is just keeping his calm, collected face. He didn't, not a muscle moves. All right, we'll move on to the, there was the all in favor, right?
Yes.
I'm too busy
Yes.
talking to acknowledge the vote. Is there any opposition? No, motion carries. We'll then go on to the regular public hearing items. This will be where the staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, followed by separate discussion, public hearings, and action by the Board of Supervisors. We have a reversion hearing in accordance with section 404.01, parentheses I or L, and parentheses 7 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. The board will conduct a hearing to grant an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development, to determine compliance with the schedule for development, or cause the property to revert to its former zoning classification in the following cases. Development Services Planning and Zoning Division, rezoning case number 01-34. In accordance with the Yuma County zoning ordinance, there will be action to grant an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development or determine compliance with the schedule for development, or cause the property to revert to its former recreational vehicle park zoning classification. This is on assessor parcel number 701-23-084, previously 106-82-007, located in the south side of County 10th Street and west of Foothills North and Foothills North number 2 subdivision in Yuma, Arizona. We will have a dreaded PowerPoint presentation. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case 01-34. This is, the slide shows the original zoning map. The subject property is highlighted when it was within the RVP zoning district. This is the current zoning map, showing the subject parcel again, crosshatched and highlighted. Within the RVS zoning, property is accessed on the north by Masterson Avenue, which is County 10th Street. This is an aerial view showing the subject parcel in its current condition. It shows the development on the east and west side, as well as the north. On September 25th of last year, original owner presented this Lamina de Fortuna conceptual layout at a project assessment meeting. Is coming back to propose and develop the property as subdivision, proposing about 60 lots. Rezoning case number 01-34 was approved by the Board of Supervisors. This is scheduled for development. It consists of 6 conditions. These 4 first ones are pretty standard. Number 5 is the legal access is established on parcel. And number 6 is the 1 year to have a schedule for development approved by Yuma County, which encompasses the entire property development. And if it proposes more than 6 lots, a tentative plat must be submitted, and all required improvements, including the filing and approval of tentative plat, final plat, and posting of necessary assurances, must be done within 3 years of approval, or the rezoning will be reviewed to revert to RVP, according to in accordance with section 404.01I7. Current status of rezoning case 01-34 is the original deadline was September 4, 2004.
Wow.
And as I mentioned, on September 25th, there was a project assessment meeting that was held at Development Services, and the owner presented a conceptual layout of Lamina de Fortuna subdivision to be built on the subject parcel. On December 5th, the owner requested via a letter to request an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development. As of today, the schedule for development has not been met. The Board of Supervisors has the following options: to grant an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development, or revert the zoning to its original RVP zoning classification. Staff recommends to the board to grant an extension of time of 5 years to comply with the schedule for development. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation. If any questions for staff, and the applicant owners are here.
All right. Is the applicant here? Or his representative?
Both.
Both?
They're both here.
They're both here. Yeah. Oh, so the paid one gets to step up.
Representative. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Jim Davey. I'm the engineer for Mina de Fortuna LLC. Mina de Fortuna is Jesse Gomez, his son Fred Gomez is here. But this is a project that had been started in the past and with good intentions, but it got caught in the housing downturn and never progressed. But we had met with staff back in September, got some guidelines for it, and we know we've got some work to do on it, but if a 5-year extension could be granted, it'd be much appreciated.
Well, I don't know about a 5-year. That's a long time.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Hold on a minute.
Mr. Davey, I remember this, and wasn't there an issue with a wash? Isn't there a problem with a wash that runs through there?
Or the side?
There is, well, you have the east wash along the westerly border of the property. This is what they call the east wash here.
Right.
Since that time, there have been the FEMA letter of map amendments been issued in the revised floodplain maps. So this property has all been taken out of the floodplain that way. There was some drainage coming in from wash from the east, and some improvements were done 3 or 4 years ago under a floodplain use permit to address some of those drain improvements. And we'll have some more on-site improvements to do as part of the development.
Oh, it's been pulled out of the floodplain.
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
I remember that was an issue.
Yeah, so at one time the floodplain came out and covered
Right,
a good
that's how I
portion of the
remember,
property.
yeah.
The wash had been channelized long ago, but it took about 10 years to get the maps revised.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that takes care of, that was a controversial part, you know, we remember, you know, it was a big issue. I don't know, the board members, any of you have any comments? I mean, obviously, the only comment I would make is that it seems to me it's been a long time. You know, some of the issues seem to be coming into place that will allow this to develop into what it was supposed to be some time ago. I just have a concern with so much time. You know, 5 years, a 5-year request seems to be long, but I think 3 years it's more along the lines. I think in 3 years you would know whether you're going to be able to do something with it or not. Is there any particular reason?
Mr. Chairman, that's because this involves to develop the property as a subdivision. So they have the 2 years to do the tentative plat and then 3 years to do the final map, so final plat. So that's why we, recommended 5 years.
So staff recommendation?
Yes.
All right, well, if the staff recommends it, I guess, I have no particular opposition. I just don't want it to linger
I have a
for
question.
5 years. I think we need to, hold on.
Okay.
I think that what I like is a sort of a status report, if nothing else, and some of these extensions were given, something that lets us know ahead of time before they come back to us 3 years later, nothing's happened. Something needs to be, some sort of a notice situation should be sent to these people that we're allowing to continue with the schedule for development, basically letting them know, look, you had 3 years and now you're coming up 12 months from now. We'd like to know before the end of your time, that you were allocated where you're at. And I think that we should start, so that we don't get the situations where, 5 years later, we find out there's very little done and now they want another 2 years. And it seems to me like there should be some sort of a notice process where, we give a reversion and we like to keep an eye on it. Okay?
You know that.
All right. Yes, Supervisor?
Mr. Chair and Jim, would this subdivision be part of Far West Water or would it be part of the city?
That's Far West.
Yes, it would be Far West Water. It'll also be Far West Sewer. We've worked with Far West to develop a sewer lift station and a force main to take it to their sewer system.
Okay. All right. Well, the recommendation from staff is a 5-year extension. Is there any other comments or anything from the board? I'm going to close the public hearing and take it back to the board. What's the board's pleasure?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we grant the 5-year extension on zoning case,
0134. Right.
Where is it?
01.
01-34, granting the 5-year extension.
I'll second that.
All right. Okay, there's been a motion and a second on this item. Is there any discussion or any more discussion? If there are no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? There you go, you have your 5-year extension. Hopefully, we can see something happening out there, before 5 years.
We need housing back. So.
Okay, the next item then, for our reversion items is Development Services and Planning and Zoning Commission rezoning case number 0529. In accordance with the Yuma County zoning ordinance, section 404.01. What is it, an L or an I? I. I. Parenthesis 7. Action to grant an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development or cause the property to revert to its former rural area 40-acre minimum, RA-40 zoning classification. Assessors parcels number 183-36-001. 186-36-001, located at the alignment of Avenue 39E and south of Old Highway 80 in Tacna, Arizona. There will be a PowerPoint presentation. Mr. Rubio?
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Juan Leal Rubio, Senior Planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. On the screen, you'll see the original case map that was generated back in 2005. This is the current map. It shows some changes as far as property layout surrounding the property. The property itself remains the same. This is an aerial photography of the condition of the site, which is open desert. This is, I made a copy of the original concept layout, what they were proposing for an industrial use originally, a warehouse for truck park business. And as part of the rezoning case, the schedule for development was that they provide legal access to the property and that they do a traffic impact study, which was never really done, and that they get all the necessary permits within 2 years. The deadline to comply with the schedule for development was August 1st of 2007. The board has the option of granting an extension or reverting this case to original RA10 zoning classification. We have been in conversation, staff has been in conversation with the owner, and the owner is asking for a 2-year extension of time, which staff is also recommending a 2-year extension of time to comply with the schedule for development. And that concludes staff's presentation.
All right.
I have a question.
Sure, Supervisor Franklin.
Mr. Chairman, one, that lots 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, do they have development on them?
On the aerial that was shown,
No.
there's no
Oh,
development.
no, there's nothing. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking up when you saw those.
There's,
Okay.
Supervisor, there's roads that lead into and around, but there is no development. There's a fence up on, I think, one of the lots.
There's a what?
There's a fence up
Okay.
on one or two
One of the
the
lots is fenced off.
Okay.
Right, well, a 2-year extension, you know, it seems to me reasonable for them to get their act together. I mean, it's what staff recommends. You know, I don't like to go against staff recommendation.
Since when?
Well, it's a new year. I'm trying to be accommodating.
Oh, okay.
You know,
As long as you
after all, they're
clarify.
keeping their PowerPoint presentations relatively short. Anyway, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2-year extension for rezoning case.
Based on
Number
the
5-29.
recommendation. Yeah, based on the recommendation of.
I'll second it.
It's been motion and second to approve a 2-year extension for the schedule for development on item rezoning case number 05-29. Any more discussion? If there is no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And we'll go on to the next item, which is again from Development Services and Planning and Zoning Division, another reversion case, rezoning case number 01-31. In accordance with the Yuma County zoning ordinance, it would be action to grant an extension of time to comply with the schedule for development or cause the property to revert to its former rural area 10-acre minimum RA10 zoning classification, assessors parcel number 198-03-002, located in the north side of County 10.5 Street, Masterson Avenue, approximately 1/4 mile east of Foothills Boulevard in Yuma, Arizona. Mr. Rubio, you do have a short PowerPoint presentation, right?
I will try to make it short, Mr. Chairman.
Fine, there's no other better kind.
Thank you. This is the original map submitted back in 2001. There's been some changes to the property. It's been split. Parcel 2, as you can see, is now currently owned by the Fortuna del Rey RV Park, and they've developed a softball field under a special use permit. Parcels 4,
the big deal.
Parcel 4 is the property that rezoning case that we're bringing here to you. This is the aerial photography. You'll see the softball field, and you'll see the undeveloped land, both north and south, northeast of the wash and southwest of the wash. This is a concept layout that was brought during the same concept assessment that Mr. Barraza mentioned in the previous case. This is what was presented as a concept layout for a new proposed subdivision being called Fortuna Golf Subdivision Unit 2. This shows how they plan on developing the portion that lays southwest of the Fortuna Wash. This shows how they're proposing to develop the other part north of the wash. The original rezoning case had a schedule for development, which includes everything that you see on the slide here. Important to mention here, of course, meeting environmental health, Yuma building code, Yuma flood control requirements, and legal access and dedications of rights of ways and disclosure statements, and the filing of a tentative plat. The deadline to comply with the scheduled development was October 15th of 2015. And the board has the option of either granting an extension of time or reverting this to original RA10 zoning classification. And just similar to what the recommendation that made by Mr. Barraza, we are also recommending a 5-year time limit to comply with the schedule for development.
I'm going to open the public hearing, and allow the applicant, if they want to come up, I always remind everybody, you don't want to mess when you're ahead, but, do you want to say anything? All right.
I got one question.
Oh, step up. We've got a question from the Board of Supervisors. I thought this was too easy.
Well, if you would go back to schedule for development number 5, that caught my eye. I know we can't change these, but I don't understand. How do we do something that doesn't have access for emergency vehicles?
It does and will have access.
Okay, that's not quite what that says. That seems very unusual. I'm not sure how we did that.
Do we have a, can I see one of the aerials or the, oops.
It's too fast.
Well, okay. This is Masterson Avenue, which is public right-of-way, which is all along the property. It has physical access to here. We have some wash improvements.
This is high issue.
For the 2 washes, but the west parcel has physical and legal access and paved road along Masterson Avenue from Foothills Boulevard.
Stops right there.
Yeah.
That will happen.
Also to the east, it's got physical and legal access. The road is ABC, and I understand we have to do some improvements to the roadway with according to Yuma County guidelines for that road.
How do you get to the parcel in question?
Well, both off of Masterson. We'll have 2 entrances off Masterson here.
Okay.
And loop it, and then we'll have a single entrance over here just with, it's a rather
Didn't that
shorter
map show that?
The
You
concept
mean the
layout?
black plan?
Yeah.
It does
Black.
show that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the fact that it was listed there.
Okay, so it's a 2-piece, I see.
Yeah,
There's
two
2
separate
different
pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that little
The ball
corner here.
field split it.
It's the one that probably has
What's the
problem.
green triangle?
That was a property, we rezoned that to planned development several years ago for, it was a
That's
little bit of
what
a
threw
long
me
story
off.
behind
Okay,
it.
so the triangle piece is in the bottom left corner, and then the larger subdivision's over there on the right.
Uh-huh,
Do I have that right now?
Yes.
yes. And
Okay.
that triangle
I was
is
still
a part of
curious
it.
how we approve something that may not have legal
Ingress
access
and-
or
Well, it's emergency.
fire
It's-
emergency.
Chairman, that was a standard verbiage that was included with these type of reports back in 2001, 2002. Every lot should have access.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, legal access, especially, for fire.
That's why I've never seen it before. It
Can
took
you
me a
go
long
back to
time.
the
Okay.
concept drawing?
I didn't realize it was 2001.
Damn it, yeah, it's the only one left from that time. I mean, I get the brunt of those. Why?
flat.
Why? Well, it made
Where
sense
it
back then.
was. There we go. See,
Okay.
doesn't that show ingress right there?
Yes,
Yeah.
but emergency
That's all.
vehicles,
Okay,
sometimes
and
what
then-
happens is see, if you get a big fire truck in there, you may not be able to turn. That's what the problem is normally.
Oh.
You need to have not only egress, but egress.
Yeah.
But if
You
it
need to
has
be
a
able to step out.
cul-de-sac, it would be able to turn in that.
Oh, it's
cul-de-sac.
just not big enough. For
Well,
some of
that's-
those big fire trucks, they just can't
Okay.
turn. The radius, that's why we normally require 2, an entrance and an exit, a separate, so that you can actually go in and out. That little corner is pretty difficult to plan for. I mean, that's why we probably put that, notice so that people be aware that, you know, that may be difficult for a fire, you know, for emergency vehicles to go in and out of that parcel. So,
Yeah.
you know, you wanted to let them know, look, you have a more of a problem. Let's
That's
put it
why it's
that way.
Yeah, you
attached to
have
the
That's why
only
it's
one
attached to the
ingress
deed,
and
yes.
egress,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Chairman Reyes, as mentioned, this is just a concept layout. When they do get ready to submit for a subdivision, a tenant plat review, you know, we'll invite all the players, which include rural metro and building safety and engineering, to ensure that
They can get in and out.
everything is up to subdivision regulations.
Yes, and so I think
It's gonna be
the
tough.
answer basically is that predated my time on the board. That's why it caught my eye. I had never seen that before. And so, makes sense.
Can you
And so
see-
you'll do that through the permitting process then.
We will, a part of the subdivision review, all that is addressed as part of the subdivision regulation. No one has really sat down to review to make sure that it meets all minimum zoning and building code and engineering requirements. That will be done as part of the tenant plat review.
This is a preliminary plan.
Thanks.
All
Why
right,
I asked.
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I just have a question
Supervisor
too.
Sims.
The land to the north and the west of that is BLM?
I believe the land to the north is under BLM.
Okay. I'm just,
Come in.
Actually, Arizona state land.
Really?
state trust land then?
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Nice.
it's everybody's questions. Is there any more questions? No, I'm gonna close the public hearing, take it back to the board. The recommendation from staff is to also give them a 5-year time extension to comply. Any deviation from that? If
No.
not, then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the staff recommendation of a 5-year extension on rezoning case number 01-31.
A second.
Sure, second.
Motion and second to approve item number 3 as presented. Any more discussion? No more discussion. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. I think we're down to event calendar and current events before we go into the executive session. I know we have an executive session and a work session. So just wanted to get down to event calendar and current events. Supervisor Pancracy, would you like to get us started?
Well, in the last 2 weeks, I can say that everything that I've had to do were the 5 F's, faith, family, friends, and food and
Oh,
fun.
wait a minute.
And so I'm ready to get back in
Hey.
the saddle and get going again.
Thank God, thank God. Supervisor McLeod, do not mess up.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Pancracy apparently stole my notes. I have the exact same report.
All right. Supervisor Simmons.
I've got a couple of things. I attended the Yuma Officials Day out at YPG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good time. They put on a good presentation.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
got to see a lot of interesting stuff. They took us up in a Black Hawk and
Oh.
showed us the area and stuff. So, and then I spent a day out at the Walmart ringing the bell for Salvation Army.
Yeah, I saw the picture of the Santa Claus
Good for
party
you.
from Danny. Right.
Thank you.
Supervisor
Sick
Borges,
almost that whole time.
I know,
other
me
than,
too.
other than watching the fires in California, is there anything else you'd like to report?
Happy New Year to everybody, and that's it.
Happy New Year. yeah.
Yes, Susan? No? Okay, hold on. Look, I do want to, not maybe sort of report and events attended, but I just cover an area that I think, to me, it's going to be part of what I like to focus in this particular fiscal year. I think that when the new board members came on board, they provided a breath of fresh air when it came to focusing again on the county's roads and, you know, conditions, and I appreciate that. But what has happened too is that whenever you improve the road, it gets used more and more. And so now we have a lot of traffic. We've always had this very difficult mix of traffic out in county roads at this time of the year when it is in the, you know, lettuce trucks and tractors and workers in the fields, and now we have the winter visitors driving around, and, you know, it gets very difficult. But I don't know if you noticed, but there seemed to have been a rash of accidents, especially in South County, deadly accidents in county roads that gather a lot of attention. And my response to that was that at certain time, there's some improvements that are being made to improve the safety of our roads. I mean, there's some street signs that are being put, I mean, some traffic signals that are being put out in some very, I would consider to be very dangerous intersections out in the county. But, you know, what I like to see this year it's an additional focus on improving both visual, the sight, the visuals on the intersections, which means to me that, we need to start looking at some safety measures to improve the, I guess, the warning systems that we have when you get to an intersection out in the county. I mean, I know that Supervisor McLeod and Supervisor Pancrazi, who are mostly from urban, environments, don't have that problem, but out in the county, it's getting really bad. People are driving late. It's dark. There's no lights. When you have a stop sign that is not lit, and you're coming up to an intersection at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, even when by the time you see that sign, it may be too late to stop. I used to think in the past that we could do very little about this because normally to light up an intersection would require us to have some sort of an agreement with APS, and it got complicated. But nowadays, technology allows you to put in some solar, some solar equipment up there that may be able to raise the awareness of where intersections are. I've seen a lot of that flashing signs that we're putting in intersections. I think we need to start, locating some of those, really deadly intersections, really bad intersections that are both not lit, and not necessarily well signed. There's no particular indicator other than an old stop sign to warn people that you've got an intersection. So anyway, bottom line is I'd like to see some focus on now the safety of those intersections as opposed to just the conditions of the road. So I'm just letting that out. I mean, it's been a real tough month and a half, 2 months out in the county roads, up in the South County roads, and up in the yeah, it's really bad. And you tell people it's the mix of traffic. You tell people it's the fact that there are county roads and we cannot, light up every county road. It's just impossible, difficult. There are some intersections that continually come up as dangerous. I mean, especially in South County, County 19th and Avenue B, which is getting some improvements. There's the end of Somerton Avenue going into County 19. There's County 18 and Somerton Avenue.
Yeah.
There's
down
a lot
there
of
by Barclay Ranch,
that's
that
right.
area, that
Some of those
stop sign down there.
Anyway, I
needs
think
some
what
light. Yeah.
sorry, I opened that, but I'm not sorry I opened the discussion. I just know that this is going to be an issue that we need to start addressing. It's not in the agenda. It's just an item for future agenda. Supervisor Pancras.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
I always say, and I say this to anybody and everybody, that in the wintertime, if you're in a hurry, stay home. Because you just can't be in a hurry in the wintertime. So you have to allot yourself at least an extra half an hour to 45 minutes for everything that you're going to do because of the number of people who reside in Yuma County in the wintertime. So,
well, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, that in South County is a very difficult thing to do. People are getting to work at 3, 4, 5 in the morning. People are, you go through some of these lettuce fields and there's a line of cars on both sides of the road. There's actually signage.
There is signage that says
but,
slow down.
If it's at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning, that signage may not be sufficient. But anyway, look, I just want to focus now on the safety of those roads, okay, as opposed to just the condition of the roads. So, just wanted to plant that seed.
Mr. Chair, just if I can add to that, I had a conversation with Susan about after that accident that happened on County 18 and Somerton Avenue. But I know there's a flasher there for the stop sign. But I was telling Susan that maybe some warnings on the roads, just some rumbles or those
those speed
ceramic, just to warn somebody that stop sign, four-way or stop coming up ahead. But also, if we could also look in the near future, the policies that the county has for streetlights in certain intersections.
Well, like I said, I think that in the past, our problem was hooking them up to power and, keeping them out there. I mean, it was very difficult for us. We didn't have any,
There
we
wasn't
don't have,
electrical
we don't
power.
have agreements with APS. It's very difficult to get those things. But now with technology being what it is, we may be able to install signs up in places, lit signs in places where we couldn't possibly do it in the past. And I guess it all begins, like everything else in government, with the study, right? And so what we need to do is focus on some of those intersections. We may not be able to fix them all, but if we start fixing a few of them, I think we're giving our constituency an indication that we're not, just brushing that problem aside. Okay? All right, that'd be my report. Susan?
Just want to wish everybody Happy New Year. It's a great first meeting of the year, and I'm looking forward to many more to come. I would like to ask if we could have the work session item, have the brief presentation by Dave Hillen before we go into executive session, since that's
Sure,
the one
certainly.
remaining item.
Right, it's okay. The attorneys don't charge us that much. So, we can keep all three of them here for a long time. This is one of those few times I say, yeah, we can keep the attorneys longer. Okay. Now, we will then go on to a work session. This is a work session that the county administrator has requested for an update on the testing and the interim improvements at 197 South Main Street.
We're at the last meeting, we did say that every meeting we would update you on what's been going on there, both the testing results as well as the interim improvements as they move forward. So this will be on, I'll probably put it on just discussion and action items.
Oh, sure. Fine. We're just going to get an update on what's going on.
And we'll be brief. Chairman Reyes, members of the board, Dave Hillen, Director of Facilities Management. Just wanted to touch base, briefly update on the progress of the work across the street. As you know, as we met last time, we had discussion about what we propose doing to make these interim improvements across the way. And you approved us to move forward with the caveat that we were to look at other ways to fund other than into the county contingency. We were able to identify some CIP contingency funds available to use for this work, more than enough to cover what we propose doing. So with that in mind, we have begun to move forward. I'm happy to report we have made progress and everything is coming in so far under budget. We began with some additional asbestos testing in a couple of areas that we suspected may contain asbestos-containing material. We did pull, NEI Environmental did pull 15 samples and found 2 locations that did test positive for asbestos-containing materials. And with that in mind, we then did solicit and award the abatement of that asbestos material to Mint Restoration. They are actually working on that this week and will continue into next week to abate those 2 areas. Areas where the materials were identified were on the main floor, the far east end of the unfinished area, as well as on a stairway to the mezzanine. Their schedule, again, is they're scheduled to continue into next week to complete that work. At the same time, we did walk the site with 3 different contractors and reviewed the scope of work, and were able to award the construction as identified previously to GCI Construction, a local firm here. And we met with them yesterday, signed a contract, and they will, they are putting a schedule together, so I'll be able to update you on that in upcoming meetings. They are going to then subcontract the work, the cleaning, the commercial cleaning of the interior spaces underneath their contract.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. What are they doing, though?
I'm sorry?
What exactly are they
What
doing?
work is being done? What are they doing?
The general contractor?
Yes.
As identified previously, they'll be opening up some spaces so that we can access interior walls, interior floor spaces to get a good cleaning in that area.
Okay.
And then framing the open space around the top of the mezzanine so we can sheetrock and close that whole space. They'll be doing a little bit of electrical work to provide a minimal amount of lighting and providing a secondary emergency exit route for the election services department.
Okay.
Yes.
Have they talked about the little glass squares that keep the water goes down into the basement?
Yes, that's a separate item that was alternate number 1, which again, we're moving forward with that as well. We did have a revision to the design, working with Rob Campbell, structural engineers, and we have what we feel is a better design and a more affordable construction. So we had received some budgetary numbers. We're now going to put that revised structural report back out, re-solicit that bid, and hope to get, again, a better price to do this.
One more
Sure,
question.
Supervisor McLeod.
Well, go ahead.
Air balancing?
Air balancing will be scheduled at the end so that when we complete this work, we'll rebalance the system and everything will be.
So we're getting more fresh air in. Okay.
We'll make sure that it is as
Correct.
per engineer design, yes.
Dave, on the sidewalk repair, I don't think it came up, but we should be putting glass block back in. I hope that's in the plan, because that is as historic, as a historic design?
For the most part,
Any other project, that would be a requirement.
It would be. We, according to our county engineer, we're not necessarily required to hold to that. However, most of those glass blocks have been removed historically in the past. They've been patched in poorly, so they don't really function as allowing lights in the basement anyway.
Well, actually, they do pretty good. I was impressed. But I think our design should incorporate them. That's how that building was originally built. Is it a substantial increase in cost to do that? If it's not, I think that.
I don't know. I haven't dealt with it.
I don't know about the other board members, but I think we should keep the historic design as close as possible.
I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah,
We
that
should
is
have
part of the
tore,
problem.
we should have tore the whole inside and built it new.
Yeah.
To keep it historical, I think only the outside, it's what, we're not, I don't think that building, I think we tried, and I think it's in an area that we'd like to keep it looking like it did, hundreds of years ago, 100 years ago.
It's just
But
amazingly different.
yes, but again, the problem with doing an old building and not doing it all is that whatever's left in there, it's a 30, 40, 50 years old, and it doesn't meet current standards, and it's got a smell, and it's got issues.
Well, this would be new. This is
This
new
would be
construction.
Yeah.
I would say as long as it's not affecting the health, if it's something that can be done cheap,
This is
but
brand
it's
new
not,
construction.
it's not
Incorporate.
affecting the health of any.
All right, well, I think we're to the testing part.
I think the contractors need to decide how to do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the board needs to give direction.
If you provide the direction, we will have the contractors bid that as an alternate. We can look at it.
Yeah, let's have a bid as an alternate and see that, okay? Let's just have a bid as an alternate and see the cost, okay?
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Dave.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Is anyone from the actual building, that wants to say anything? No?
There's two from the building, yeah.
The art building or the rat building, depending.
Angela didn't come.
I know.
Supervisor Porches, hey, hold on, guys. Supervisor Porches wants to say something.
I just have a question. And I asked it last time in the last meeting, and I know it was not implemented in the plans what we're gonna be doing now. But when I came in on board, talking to several staff members, they did say that it was actually in the plans. It was on and off. So
What? What was on
the boardroom.
Yeah, the
Oh,
board.
yeah.
Cover it up.
The middle, the one that, yeah.
So my question is, would that room be at least usable for something else as it's finished? Or could it be?
Like a storage?
Either storage or for elections, maybe for elections?
Yes,
equipment?
exactly. As part of the first phase of construction, actually, there was some electrical that was provided in the space. And the hope is that it is enough to be able to set up the ballot machines for testing as they have need, at least on a couple occasions. It's not going to be finished out to case, but yes, for minimal.
Look, I think the board needs to make a decision relatively soon about whether we're going to continue with the plan to develop a board, auditorium in there or not. Because I think that what we're doing right now should have maybe been part of a plan to actually do something, permanent with that, with that portion of the building, as opposed to just, patching it up for a while and then redoing it again.
I did want to mention the fact that as much as possible, we're attempting to do things that need to be done regardless. The testing and the abatement needs to be done either way. So we're trying to do this with an eye towards the future, not change things too much that it will be usable for
what was intended at the beginning. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think that we have two things that are happening. One of them is this testing that is going on, and that I hope will bring us some solutions, if some actual solutions, and so we get to deal with something that is actual as opposed to just perceived. And second, I think it should force this board to make a decision about what are we going to do with that empty space, because as long as it sits there empty, it will create the impression that something is happening there that is impacting the health of the rest of the tenants. So that will be a theme for another meeting. Not today. But thank you for the results, and I hope that more than anything else, not to us but to the staff, that they understand that we're trying as many ways or as many things as possible to try to address their concerns. And that we think that they're real, as long as they think they're real. We think they're real.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So my question is yes or no?
Oh, another use? I think it come up
It'll
as
come
as we do it, as we go there.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
elections right now.
Again, it won't be occupied space, but
It may be usable for
Use
something.
For a week or
In the
10
interim,
days
correct.
or.
Right.
So that, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to make sure.
All right. Okay, now, do we entertain a motion to go into executive session and ask everybody to leave, or do we go back to our offices out there? What is the preference? Up in the room out there?
It's up to the chairman if you want to stay, either way.
I don't know, I mean, let's go upstairs, you know, there's too many people to throw out, I mean, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go to executive session.
Okay,
Second that.
there's been a motion and a second to go into executive session. I've always wondered.
Yeah, we have to.
All right, so, is there, all those in favor of going into executive session signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Somebody should tell me why the chairman can't simply say, okay, we're going into executive session, whether you like it or not. No.
Because it requires a motion.
God say we go into executive session, no matter what. All right, everybody, this is just going to be for, let me just read it, because I think I need to do that. The executive session is for the county attorney, discussions or consultations for legal advice in order to consider his position and instruct his representatives regarding the agreement made by and between El Dorado Improvement District and Sierra Pacific Mobile Park as impacted by the acceptance of a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. This will be an executive session. We don't know, but we made, you know, it's in the agenda so that we can make a decision. Is it? Or is it just consultation?
Consultation.
Okay, so so you can leave, there won't be a decision, so, you know, we're telling the public if they want to wait, but, you know. That's what I'm saying, guys, why would you